Welcome to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My name is Katie Dodd, and I'm a nutrition entrepreneur. I spent 7 years as a side hustler before diving into entrepreneurship full time. Before making the leap, I was bringing in 6 figures through my side hustle. If I can do it, you can too. This podcast is for dietitians, interns, and students who want to be inspired to start or perfect the side hustle of their dreams. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to the 107th episode of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast, The New Rules for Financial Freedom. Today, I will be interviewing Tony Stefan. Tony is a registered dietitian, entrepreneur, business coach, real estate investor, and so much more. Many of you are familiar with the program Tony created, the Dietitian Nutrition Coaching Certification Program, which has helped so many dietitians start their own nutrition coaching businesses. Tony also has 2 podcasts himself, the Nutrition Coaching Podcast, and most recently, the Financial Freedom Academy podcast. So welcome, Tony. Let's dive in with our questions. So first off, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your background, and what it is that you do?
Sure. Well, thanks so much, Katie. I appreciate you. I appreciate you having me on. Congratulations for 106 episodes. That's quite an accomplishment. Yeah, that's amazing. So I would say I'll give the short version of the long story, and then I'm very happy to deep dive into any part of it that you'd like. So long story short, first off, you did a great job kind of introducing me there. But long story short, I got started in the health and fitness industry at the age of 18 through adversity, right? And always kind of the first gift I like to give to any audience is adversity is your opportunity, right? So I lost my mother at a young age to drug addiction. My father had the hindsight and the foresight to say, okay, instead of drugs, instead of alcohol, instead of crime, or any other negative outlets for your attention, for the frustration, we were going through a lot of fiscal challenges. We grew up right outside of Detroit, Michigan. Family filed bankruptcy, almost lost our home. I was on food stamps, all those types of things. My father said, let fitness be your outlet, and took me in the basement, had an old school gym weeder, dumbbell set and gym set. So that's how I fell in love with fitness. Fitness helped me through a traumatic time. So I kind of devoted my life to do the same for others and let fitness be the outlet for them, right? So I became certified as a personal trainer at age 18 for a whopping $6 a session, right? At that time, I thought that was a lot of money because I'd see 2 clients in an hour. So $12 an hour. I'm like, this is great, 18 years old, right? I knew every personal trainer had to refer to a dietitian, and every dietitian had to refer to a personal trainer. So I got the brilliant idea. If I can do both, I'm going to be so marketable. I'm going to be so desirable. So worked through college as a personal trainer, got my RD at age 23, did a coordinated program. I know a lot of people here are registered dietitians. So I did a coordinated program. I was very blessed to get into that. Boom, come out 23. All my friends and colleagues are going to long-term care. They're going to nursing homes. They're going to clinical jobs like prominent hospitals in Detroit. I'm like, I'm going to go take a 100% commission job and work at Lifetime Fitness. My professor thought I was crazy. My preceptors thought I was stupid. My friends, colleagues laughed. They're like, why would you do that? I'm taking a $40,000 salary here, right? Guaranteed. So I took a job for no guarantees. Learned to sell, learned to negotiate, learned to market. Quickly rose up, became a club manager at like 24, a regional manager in charge of 7 clubs at 25. And I was doing great. All was good, title, recognition, prominence, making a very good income, right? And they said, hey, you've reached the pinnacle. This is it. There's nowhere to go, right? Besides Minnesota, which was the corporate office. I'm like, I'm not leaving Detroit for Minnesota because that's cold. For even colder, I'm like, I'm not doing that. So I had to decide right then and there, a great lesson for everyone listening. When things are good, you have to decide, will I accept good or will I go for great? And there's nothing wrong with good. There's nothing wrong with comfort. I was very comfortable, right? I was making $90,000 a year, had a nice office, everything was set up for me, but I had a desire to do more, right? I couldn't peak at age 26. We're put on earth for 2 reasons, to give and to grow. As registered dietitians, we love that because we give nutrition knowledge, we give training and coaching and support, but we have to grow too. So decided to give up good for great, took all the money I had $9,000 to my name, hired my coach, Bedros Keuilian. This is back 2016, started an online business. The rest is history, right? That grew prominently. Dietitians started reaching out to me. At one time, I had like 15 registered dietitians as nutrition coaching clients. I'm like, why are you guys hiring me? You know what to do. And they're like, well, I want you to help me get in shape. I want you to help me, feel better, function better, whatever. But I also want to learn how to do this for myself. I want to learn how to create an online business. Back in 2015, 2016, online business was still kind of new for registered dietitians. In the fitness space, it wasn't super new, but for dietitians, it was. So I started with one client I said I would help out, which turned to 20, which turned to a mastermind with like 65 of them in it, thousands of sales for our digital products in over 20 different countries. And then that led to the real estate business that, we run both now, right? So that's the short version of it. Happy to deep dive into any side of it to try to keep it concise there.
Thanks for sharing, Tony. And I've heard your story multiple times, and I always love hearing it and how you talk about how adversity is your opportunity, and you use something really horrible that happened in your life to really catapult you in this amazing career you've already built at really such a young age. So I do love your story, but we're here to talk about the new rules of financial freedom. So recently you wrote a book that I bought on Amazon, and it's called The New Rules for Financial Freedom. And I just finished reading the thing a couple of days ago. I really appreciated that it is concise. It is shorter. It is to the point. It is what you need to know. It's not full of fluff. And it really told me everything I need to know without being overwhelming. So can you tell our audience a little bit more about this book and why you wrote it?
Great question. And thank you so much for your kind words. To be fair, I didn't know it was going on Amazon. My coach, my mentor, Bedros, who's been my mentor since I started all this, he's like, hey, we need to write a book and we'll give it away as like an ebook. I was like, oh, sweet. So I did it in like 3 months because I'm like, clear, concise ebook, no big deal. And this is the power of having a mentor, because if you would have told me 3 months ago, Tony, you're going to sell a book on Amazon, I'd say, no way. What do I have to share? What do I have to give? Who am I? Right? I'm not Grant Cardone. I'm not Robert Kiyosaki. I'm not, Oprah Winfrey. I don't write books. Right? So get a mentor, get someone who will push you outside your comfort zone. Huge lesson, or else you'll never do these things. He reads it and he goes, you know what, dude, this is his words, not mine. He's like, this is beyond good. You nailed it. This is going on Amazon. I was like, what do you mean? Like, you didn't tell me this. So we bootstrapped it and we figured it out. And another good lesson, like, I'm not a book writer. We didn't hire a publisher. We didn't hire an editor. When you lack resources, you get resourceful. That's what we did. We used the resources we had. We used our web team. They developed the cover and formatted it and all that good stuff. So long story short, I didn't know it was going to be a book. I wrote it to help people. I started off in my business at 26 in credit card debt. I grew up in financial insecurity. My father worked 2 jobs, 3 jobs sometimes, never made more than $45,000 per year. It was the best he could do, and he did the best he could for us, but I just had desire for more. And I learned so much through mentorship, through coaching, through environmental exposure. My wife and I kind of blinked one day and we looked up and we said, wow, we developed not only a very successful online business that's earned income, but then we developed $10 million of real estate portfolio, self-funded. We didn't syndicate, we didn't raise money. It's our money that we took from our earned income, invested into passive income. So that's the blueprint for financial freedom. Grow, find what you love, do what you love, grow your earned income, but then take that, because we can talk about it. I talk about it in the book. I was crap. I had a lot of money. I was cash rich, asset poor, like most Americans are, but a lot of Americans are even just cash poor, asset poor, right? Took that, invested into passive income, kind of blinked one day and was like, wow, we don't have to work the rest of our life and we're set here. So I felt compelled through God to give. Like I said earlier, give and grow. I'm growing. It's my right and my duty to give back. So it's everything I wish I would have known when I started not only just my business, but my journey in life about financial literacy and financial independence.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love just the heart of, I wrote this to help people. And I often find when we lead with our heart and listening to God's calling on our life and truly helping people, it's amazing what can come. So I want to read a quick little part of the book because I feel like this really resonated with me. And this is when you were talking about the old rules, because this book's all about the new rules, but the old rules really resonated with you. And I'll read it real quick. So the old rules were, number 1, get a safe, secure job. Did that. Number 2, don't take too many risks. Was all about that. Number 3, work hard, live below your means, save money by reducing your expenses. I did that for a long time. Number 4, retire and trust the company you worked for all of your life is now going to take care of you and your family. So I will say this is exactly where I was living a few years ago, but I started to learn differently. So first off, I started to learn, how do I actually build wealth, make massive impact? And now I'm learning more about how do I leverage that wealth and create lifestyle. So can you share a bit more about your own money journey, which I know you kind of touched on, but also how you learned all the things and what do these new rules look like?
Yeah, thank you for reading that passage. I'm so glad it resonated. It's humbling to hear. Yeah, like you said, my journey started with no money, right? I'll never forget when I quit my job, because I quit my job. I didn't like slowly transition into it. I tried. They found out and they're like, hey, you're either Team Lifetime or Team Tony. And I said, all right, there's no risk in betting on yourself. So everyone remember that. People say entrepreneurs are very risky. In a sense, yes, but there's never a risk when you bet on yourself, and something else too. The time to worry is before you place your bets, not after the table or the wheel is spinning, right? So if you're going to go do this, if you're going to go do the entrepreneur thing, plan, worry before, but once you're in, be all in, right? Because there's no, the entrepreneurs I've seen fail go 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You have to go all in on this stuff. So my journey started with no money, credit card debt. So I was actually negative net worth. And I focus on earned income first. I invested, and this is what I talk about in the book, the hierarchy of investing. The first investment I ever made, and for you to ever make, for the listeners here, is in yourself. Don't go try to buy real estate day one. Don't scrounge up every dollar you have and go buy cryptocurrency. Invest in yourself. Your income will never exceed your level of personal development and your level of mindset, right? So invest in yourself. Learn sales, learn negotiation, learn marketing, learn a high income skill, right? Learn a high income skill, monetize that. It's never been easier because of this. Thank you, God, Steve Jobs, right? And Apple and internet and all those people. This is a business now. You can document and create content, display value, make money doing it. So grow your earned income, right? Number one, invest in yourself, invest in your personal development. Then invest in starting a business. There's never been a better time to start an online business. If you're entrepreneurial in nature, start an online business. As you're discovering very quickly here, it's so much more beneficial and powerful for the right individual, for an entrepreneurial individual. Then invest back in that business, invest in structures, invest in a team, right? Solopreneurs don't go very far in this world, in business, right? You need other people to help you and to do things you're just not good at. When we all start a business, we have the DIY mentality, the do it ourselves mentality, which is good. We all have to start that way. Soon enough, you develop your zone of genius, and then you need to stick to that and then outsource or delegate or eliminate the rest. If not, you're going to glass ceiling, you're going to bottleneck. Yep. And then after you do all those things and you start to develop an excess of cash, because if you do those things right, just like I did one day, you wake up, you're like, oh my gosh, like I talk about in the book, and I say this not to impress anyone, but to impress upon them the importance of this. My wife and I had $1 million in the bank. So we were self-made millionaires, but we were cash rich, asset poor. If I, Katie, God forbid, and this is when COVID started, so I was thinking this way, if I, God forbid, got sick, got hurt, got injured, couldn't work, we would go poor. There was nothing sustaining ourselves. My business was built on these lips and this ability to do these things like content and all that. So if I go, the business goes. Yeah. So we had to invest the capital, invest the excess earned income into a vehicle that produces passive income. And there's not a better vehicle that I've found to build wealth, generational wealth and passive income than real estate. So that's the hierarchy I recommend anyone follows.
Yes, I love it. So I'll recap for people. So just invest in yourself first. Invest in starting a business, then invest in growing that business. Once you have the excess cash, then you got to use that to make more money. And the book really talks about the real estate. And I will share, how I've been following you, Tony, actually for quite a while. And like I said, I've really loved your journey. I love how you help and build up and support other dietitians. But as you've transitioned from dietitian coaching to this, like, okay, how do we actually build our wealth? How do we manage our finances? How do we, do all of these things? I'm like, oh yes, tell me more. In my own business, I have started making more money. With that, I am sending massive checks to the IRS in the form of taxes. And I remember asking my own business coach, well, first off, what do I do with this money? That like, what's the smartest thing that I can do with this money that I'm making? I don't just want to spend it. What should I do with it to really, create generational wealth for my family and be the smartest I can with this? And also, how do I decrease my taxable income? And he said real estate. And I'm like, okay, started looking around, started researching. My husband, Jason, is really into real estate as well. And, saw what you're doing. I was like, you know what? I'm a big fan of learning from those who've come before me. I'm going to learn from their successes. I'm going to learn from their failures and really fast track. So really, that's how we kind of built our relationship and started working together. So I am working with Tony. He is a coach of me and my husband, and he is helping us figure out all the stuff when it comes to real estate investing. So I want to say also that I appreciate you and just how much you're helping me and Jason as we are kind of following you and your wife's footsteps and like, okay, how do we continue on with step number 4? So I just wanted to say thank you to you.
Oh, no, thank you. Thank you to you guys. And you just gave the formula for success for everyone listening. So I hope everyone like pauses this, replays that, and listens to it. There's 3 things in life we need. We have our state, our story, and then a strategy, right? So your state is what defines you, not your circumstances, right? So like I told my story, right? If I would have just stayed there and let my state be impacted by my circumstances, I never would have went anywhere. So you have the ability, and what in states, an NLP term, just meaning like how you feel. And how do you change how you feel? You change your focus. You don't focus on what you don't have, you focus on what you do have. You don't focus on the problem, the size of the problem, focus on the size of you, right? So number 1, your state, right? And then, like we said, the state determines your story. So what's the story of your life, right? You write your own story, you write your own blueprint. That's a whole nother probably podcast in itself. Yeah. But then number 3, the strategy, and that's what Katie just outlined, is you can either go make all the mistakes, go fail over and over and over. You can either go cost yourself time, energy, money, or you can find someone else who's already accomplished it, pay them, and get the shortcut to success. I've done that over and over in my life. Like I think I mentioned, I wrote an email this week to my list. I probably spent $250,000 learning strategy from so many other entrepreneurs. So I just want to highlight, you just laid out the formula for anyone listening to this. Find someone who's accomplished what you want to do and just pay them, because you're going to save so much time, so much energy, and so much money by profiting from what they've already learned. So that was really good.
Yeah, 100%. And investing in myself, in my business, best thing I've ever done. I would not be a full-time entrepreneur had I not done that. So absolutely. So I shared in the Dietitian Side Hustle Instagram that I was going to be interviewing you for the podcast. And one of our followers had a really great question. So Anna wanted me to ask you this one. Her question is, what is a first step someone can take if they are interested in investing in real estate?
That's such a great question. I get that one a lot. So the first step, if you're interested in investing in real estate, don't go buy real estate. I know everyone wants to rush and go out there and buy real estate. When you look at the investment vehicles out there, right? Commodities, so like gold, silver, whatever, stocks, cryptocurrency, the thing that besides gold bars, I guess you have to find someone with that, but like stocks and cryptocurrency, you can do it by this. Trade, buy. Oh my God, it's crashing. Sell, 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 sell. I made a mistake. Sell, right? It's done. It's instantaneous. Real estate is real. It's a tangible thing. It is a property. It is illiquid. It's not easy to get into and it's not easy to get out of, right? It takes time and energy and money to do that. So if you make a mistake, you can get hurt with it. So education breeds awareness, and awareness precedes change. Become educated. Read. For probably a year, I read everything I could. Bigger Pockets, Grant Cardone. It's part of the reason why I wanted to put my own book out there too, to contribute to the education. But Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which even though it's not a real estate book, it's technically a financial education book. You need to become educated, learn it. Real estate is buying a business. And if you don't want to own a business, buy stocks, buy crypto, because that's a passive investment. Become educated. Number 2, analyze. Once you learn how to analyze a deal, if you want to learn how to do that, I learned a free YouTube video on how to do it. A lot of other videos out there how to do it. Katie knows how to do it now too. So ask Katie. Analyze 100 deals before you buy one. Katie knows. I told her and Jason, like, I want to buy a deal. I'm like, cool, you guys are going to analyze 100 deals. And by doing that, number 1, they did it and they did phenomenal with it. And they started to identify a good deal versus a bad deal. But you need experience. It's like dating. If you only date one person, I'm a married man. I got married. I didn't get married, but I've been with my wife since I was 20. I'm 32 now. So I had some dating experience, I had some dating experience before that, but if like you've only been with one person your entire life, you don't know the difference of a good versus bad relationship, right? We learn what a bad relationship, we learn what a good relationship is through a bad relationship. You learn what a good deal is through a bad deal. You learn what a good team member or good employee is in your business by having a bad team member. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, good management is a result of bad management. You just need experience. So go analyze 100 deals. Dude, if you get to 50, you're like, this isn't for me, no problem. You just got education, right? But if you do like Katie and JC did, go to 100 and be like, I'm still in this, I still like this, I see the difference of all this, then just start to make offers. But the last thing I'll say to that, if you don't use your last dollar to invest in real estate. Just don't do it. Things can go wrong. Things can happen. We just had a tenant trash our unit, $7,500 worth of damage. We just had emergency roof repair. We just had 3 people move out. And this is literally within the last 3 days. And I own 61 units, right? So invest in yourself first, build up an excess of capital through that earned income. Then when you're ready to deploy that capital, go through real estate. You'll have the education, you'll have the experience. You'll be ready to pull the trigger.
Yes, I love that. I think that's so great advice. Like what's your first step? First step, don't buy real estate. And you're right. Yeah. It's so important that we learn and focus on what you talked about first, that really working on investing in yourself, building up a business, getting that capital so that way you can invest in having this amazing passive income stream. So I know for some people, this concept of real estate, maybe they're in a situation of, man, I have excess capital now is the time, but maybe they're in the situation of, I'm just getting started and this is further out, but they're feeling pretty overwhelmed by this whole concept of real estate investing. So let's talk about those who are overwhelmed with the thought of investing in real estate. I always tell my kids, everything is figure outable. I mean, there was a time, if we think about it, like we didn't know how to become dietitians. We had to go to school to learn how to do all the things. But the good thing about real estate investing is you do not have to get a fancy degree to master this craft. And one of the things that I think really stood out in our early conversations was you told me that real estate really isn't that complicated. Once you learn the bones, it really doesn't change much. So it's not like, dietetics and science, how things are always changing and evolving. You just got to learn the bones. So what advice would you give to those who are listening, who they're like, man, real estate investing is so interesting, but it's also totally overwhelming?
Love that. Such a good question. Number one, action cures anxiety, right? Always. Paralysis by overanalysis, right? So just start to take action. Start to just underwrite deals, right? Underwrite your own deals. Go through that. Just practice, right? Review 100 deals. That's going to cure the anxiety because you're taking action. Number two, if you're not ready to pull the trigger on your own, this is something I wish I would have known about, Katie. Partner with somebody. Like my wife and I are probably going to look to take on partners at some time, right? So you invest with us. We do all the hard work. We do all the heavy lifting. We operate, run, and manage the property. We just send you passive income. So you're part of it, but you're on the sidelines watching. It's almost like you're standing next to us or whoever, right? There's a lot of other people out there who do that. Yeah. We're running the play, but you get to watch and observe, be passively part of it so you can then be actively part of it. And just understand, it's exactly like you said, real estate's napkin math. I mean, there's not much that goes into it. If you run an online business, it's much more intricate and harder. And part of my big success with the real estate, it was, and I say this not to say this humbly, it was very simple for me because I'm used to like opt-ins and funnels and traffic and conversions and like upsells and PSP pass and all this. I'm like, wait a minute. So there's profit minus expenses equals net operating income. And if I buy it right in a good area, because of inflation, I can't lose. Okay, so that really comes down to it. It just comes down to buying right. My just rule of thumb I can tell you is buy in a good area. Just buy in a good area, right? Buy in a good area, make sure it cash flows, and just let inflation and appreciation do its thing. And I can't speak to flippers or people who like rehab and like put it back out there because my wife and I just buy and hold. But real estate's very forgiving. Very forgiving. If you buy a mistake today and just hold on to it for 30 years, you're going to look like a genius, because one of my favorite quotes is you can go in your pants, right? You're wearing pants. You can go out there, get dirt, put it in your pant pocket, hang up your pants for 30 years, come back 30 years later. The pants are going to be decrepit and decayed and like broken down, but the dirt's still going to be there. It's the most tangible asset on the face of the earth. It's real estate. The human population is growing. God's green earth is not. So just don't worry, get started. If you make a mistake, just hold it. That's what my wife and I said. If we made any mistake, and fortunately we haven't made a mistake yet, like as in buying a property that did not, work out, we would just hold it. You just hold it and you ride through the storm and you look like a genius because it goes up in value because of inflation.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. And I was thinking as you're talking too, it's like, man, if you learn the Krebs cycle, you can learn real estate investing.
Yeah.
We've got this.
Totally.
So I feel like we've touched on so many things, and I know you've got some resources you can share with listeners on where they can continue learning about, the new rules for financial freedom, real estate investing, and all these things. But I do want to wrap up this podcast with another quote from your book. And this is the one that I really loved, like underlined, starred. But you said, in life, we are commonly held back by limitations we impose on ourselves. And I think that's such a powerful statement. And it holds true for a side hustle, for a business, for life, wealth building, relationships, like all of the things. And, you guys, everything that Tony is talking about when it comes to building wealth, investing in real estate, having these passive forms of income, anyone can do it, right? Anyone can do it. The question is, will you? And my hope is that after this conversation, the wheels are turning. And, even if it just starts with starting to learn more about increasing your awareness about rules of financial freedom, real estate, all the things, I just hope that this is a next step for you as you continue to learn and grow. So, Tony, where can people find you online and start learning even more?
Well, thanks, Katie. Thank you to you. And again, congratulations on your success, 106 episodes. That's no small feat, to consistently pump out content like that. So appreciate you and everything you're doing for our industry and your audience here. So that's number one. Yeah, of course. And number two, I'm all over. So Larry, put my name in Google. You can go on our website. You can opt into our email list, YouTube, Instagram, just Tony stuff, and TikTok. Right. We have a Facebook community, the online financial freedom community. Right. So just connect with me if, I added value to you. If you have a question, if you're going through this, just send me a direct message on Instagram. That's usually the fastest way to get to me. I'm happy to serve and help however I can. So thank you again to you, Katie.
Awesome. And I'll put all the ways to connect with Tony in the show notes. So yeah, thank you again so much for being on the episode.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I sure hope that you enjoyed this interview with Tony. I really enjoyed having him on the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. And I hope that you guys learned and were excited and motivated and just gave you a whole new element to think about in terms of your careers and, finances. So my question for you is, are you on Facebook? And if you are you in the Dietitian Side Hustle Facebook community? If you are not yet, just go to the search box, search Dietitian Side Hustle, and join our community. It's a wonderful place for dietitian side hustlers just like you. Every Monday at 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, I go live in the group. So it's a great place where we can connect, ask me questions. I share, it's almost like a little podcast episode in there. But make sure you go join the community. And also, you can go to katiedodd.com if you want to learn about all the ways we can work together, including all of my freebies. So thanks so much, and I'll see you next week, guys.